It's funny how the somehow the conversations that we have on the podcast end up becoming what we talk about here. Back for week number 7, and this week it's been an interesting week for me because I'm actually, I'll call it accidentally wearing purple, but I think it's actually fairly fitting. So the best man at my wedding back in May 2010, his name's Chris Gabehart. He, on Sunday night, was the crew chief for the Daytona 500 winning Toyota Camry, sponsored by FedEx, thusly the purple, of Denny Hamlin. And there was, watching the live broadcast on TV and watching the coverage of it, you would think that he had just been plucked out of a field out of nowhere and had come from absolutely, nothing. And having this driver that's been in the Cup Series for 12 years is really the reason that they were successful. And all of those things might very well be true, but Chris has been around race cars since he was 5 years old, and he's now 37 years old. So he's been doing this his whole life. He's won national championships. He's won multiple regional touring series and big races as himself. As a driver, he went to Purdue as a mechanical engineering degree student and got a degree at one of the most difficult engineering schools in the country, under the premise of, I want to learn as much as I can about race cars. And so you think overnight success and it's his first race in the Cup Series and how lucky of him to be gifted this dream. And nothing like that happens quickly. And tonight we were talking with Anthony Clark for next week's episode, and we're talking about the grind and about how hard that is and about how much work it takes. And he's putting in 20, 25-hour weeks on the bike and is really not making enough as a professional cyclist to support being a cyclist. So he has to work other jobs that are time-consuming and make his life complicated. And he just keeps grinding because that's what it takes. That's what you have to keep doing. And Doug and I talk about the podcast and about how much fun we have talking with really smart people with really, really interesting stories and doing stuff like this and sharing stuff about ourselves, because doing this is it's not easy for me, but it's a good way for me to kind of get some of myself out into the world and stop being so introverted. But it's a grind and it takes a lot of work. So for every 2 hours that we record with Anthony Clark, Doug is going to have 3.5 or 4 hours of editing, and then we make movies each week and editing those and then posting all this stuff. Like it's a grind, but it's something that both he and I are very passionate about and feel like it can actually make a difference, and we can tell some really, really cool stories and have moments that are really, really genuine with people and be able to share those things with you guys and be able to kind of open up the world a little bit and make it more than just this commercialized nonsense storytelling thing that it's become, and be able to make the bike industry a lot more fun and approachable and normalize bikes a lot more. And it's going to take a while. It's going to be a lot of work, and most people give up too quickly. So if you're doing something, if you're working on a project, if you're working on a video series, if you want to start a podcast, reach out, ask us questions. We'd love to tell you all the things not to do, because we've done a lot of them already. And if you have any feedback on how to make better videos, let us know, because we want to make this stuff better. We want to be able to give you guys what you want to see and what you think will make people enjoy bikes more and want to tell their friends about riding bikes and things like that, because it will ultimately change the industry, and that's what matters. And that's not something that happens quickly. That's something that happens over a very, very long time with a lot of people really putting a lot of work in, and that's something that I'm very proud of the podcast that we've built and the content that we're making, and I have no plans of stopping that anytime soon, even though it is a lot of work and it's a lot of late nights. But it's worth it. And just like Chris being able to hoist the Harley Earl Trophy Sunday night as the winner of the Great American Race, he's responsible. He's the guy responsible for the car that won the Great American Race, and it looks like it happened overnight, but that was 31 plus years in the making. With his dad was in racing, his grandpa was in racing. It's generations to get to that point of enabling somebody to be able to accomplish something that monumental. And I am super, super proud of my friend for what he's accomplished, and it motivates me to keep going. And whether you like race cars or not, make fun of them or not, it doesn't really matter to me. It's more about the process, and it's more about getting from A to Z. So that's it for me this week. Be sure to click subscribe, leave your comments, all that stuff, share it with your friends. And until next week, this is John.